morning and welcome to our live crafting session this morning. It is Wednesday the 20th of August 2025. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. If you're joining live, do say hi. It's always lovely to know who's watching with us. If you're watching on catch up or replay, either here or on my YouTube channel, then a warm welcome to you too. If you have any questions about the products that I've used or anything that I discuss, then don't hesitate to drop me a message either here on Facebook or via the YouTube comments or via email. Our Wednesday morning selection is usually an online exclusive product or a new kit. So last week we used a new kit, which was the little cards with a bouquet of flowers. Thanks a bunch. This week I'm featuring something that's so easily overlooked in our online exclusives and very similar to our little messages. And this is the foiled frames and labels pack. I'm just going to lift that up so you can see it a little bit better. There are 36 pieces to the pack and the whole pack is £7.50. Morning, Caroline. That works out just a little bit under 21p per frame or die. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. Phew, there we go. So, foiled frames and labels. You get 2 sheets of each. And obviously some of these I've used already. So each one has a frame and a label. So if I just peel these ones out, these are great, especially if you don't have a die cutting machine or you want to step your card up a little bit with a little bit of gold. Now they're gold on one side. You could also use the other side in white if you wished. So let me just hop these out. Like so. Obviously you can use these, especially this shape, this one here, as a tag. Punch a hole in it and use it as a tag. So you have those two. We then have the same but with the rounded rectangles. And you could also, if you were careful with your trimmer, cut down here and use that negative piece as a frame as well. So I'll just get one of that set out. There. These are great for bookmarks. And I'm going to use, I might do a bookmark and use one of these as well on a card. And you can use the outline frames for a spotlight technique as well. So just, oh, I picked up 2 at the same time, which is probably no bad thing because it gives it a little bit of weight then. So just be careful as you separate them. So we've got that one, we've got a slightly more decorative edge. We've got a rectangle and we have a hexagon. And then we also have these ones here. So we have a circle and a nice large tag. I might use one of these actually. And actually it's better to pull them both sheets out together because then you've got a little bit more weight behind them. And if I just going to peel that off carefully. So these are not self-adhesive, so you would need to use glue or dimensionals behind them. And you could mix and match these as well. So there's the outline and there's the infill. So we've got a rectangle here with corners cut out. We've got this one here that I've got circles, hexagons, all sorts. So they're very easy to use. You can just stamp on them as normal. You could use this as a spotlight. So if I've got this card here, which came from my class in a box, you could just use the gold piece to spotlight an element on your designer paper or your sentiment. So let's just have a little play with some of these. Let's grab this one first. So I've got some paper just to the side here. I think what I'm going to do is just cut this into a strip that's going to fit across my card. Let's do it. I've got some Petunia Pop card just for a change. I haven't used Petunia Pop for ages, and this has got a little hint of that on there. And then what I'm going to do is stamp onto that and put it on the front. What's on the back of there? Oh, that's quite nice too. Except my flowers go the wrong way. So that's going to be one I'm going to stamp, and the other one I'm going to use, I think, either this one or the one that's slightly squared off. I'm going to put this on here but stamp across the whole background of the card. So let's sort of do those in unison. Let's grab piece here, and just to hand I've got Impressions of Bloom stamp set, so I'm thinking I could use this one to stamp all over and then add a leaf and a stalk. So my leaf and the stalk I'm going to use on my main panel. Just going to stamp this all the way over with Petunia Pop, I think. So I hope you're well, Caroline. I'm pleased to report that my back is beginning to ease off. Certainly better than it was yesterday. Okay, so just going to stamp this all over for just a background design. I'm just going to fold that here. Like so. So these are called foiled frames and labels. I don't really need to worry about what's in the centre because that's going to be partly hidden anyway. Like so. Get there. And I think what I'm going to do is the other one a bit taller. No, it's about the same. So I think what I'm going to do is stamp single flower on there and then cut this off slightly. So let's stamp that. So this I'm just sticking with Petunia Pop just for speed and ease. Too many of my videos have gone on for far too long recently. I know everybody says, oh, we don't mind them being long, but I'm sure some people do. Okay, so there's the top of my flower. Let's grab the stalk and some leaves. Put it a little bit high. So actually what I'm going to do is do it like that. Stamp 3 like so. Let's put a middle on there, so they've got different sizes of middle depending on the flower. So this is the smaller one. And I think I'm just going to have a light pink centre. I will. Thank you, Caroline. Yep. So, just going to put that in the middle, like so. 2 and 3 like that. Quite tempted to chop that, but actually, yeah, I'm going to chop that. Let me move that out. And add a small sentiment going across. This would look nice on a slimline card as well. So let's take off about the same amount, like that. And then this is going to go on here with the sentiment, and then what I'm going to do is stick this back on there, like so. So let's do that first and make sure I've got that the right way around, like that. Grab some glue. Caroline says she definitely doesn't mind how long they go on. Bless you. Right, to make sure I haven't turned that round in the meantime. So I'm going to pop this on here. Just line that up with the edges. You could do this with anything. Obviously it doesn't have to have a frame on it at all. It's quite a nice way of doing something slightly different with your card. And then I'm going to pop this on here and then put a sentiment across there, I think. I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals, which I managed to find yesterday. But that does remind me I need to order some more. Okay, just going to support this with 2, 2 and then 1 in the middle, like so. I say these long thin ones would make great bookmarks. And you could just use the outside one as well. So I might just do one of those quickly. Like so. That's right. It is now. There we go. And then I can just put a little sentiment going across here, which I'll do in a minute. Let's come up with another idea. So I've got this one here, and I'm going to use this piece go across. Is that any bigger? Maybe I'll use a slightly bigger piece, I don't know. We'll have a look. No, I'll stick with that one. But I might stamp over the background as well with this one. So I could bring this piece down here, stamp my flowers across there, and then put those small, I might put the small flowers in the background. Okay, let's grab Petunia Pop and this small little flower here. So in terms of placement, I think this is going to go roughly there. So I'm going to put a few across the bottom and then a few across the top. So basically I'm going to go around like so. Just with the small flower this time. And I'm just sticking with Petunia Pop because that's nice and easy. Like so, using my rule of 3, so any 3 flowers need to make a nice even triangle. I've got this folded so I can go right up to the edge. Let's put one in there, there, and then one's across the bottom. So right, let's move that to one side. Let's see what this looks like. So that's going to go across there like so. I think my camera's a bit further back than normal. And then yeah, that's going to go on top. So I'm going to stamp that larger flower. I think I can fit 3 in, she says. Maybe I'll do 1 larger, 2 smaller. Like so. Although I would quite like to put a sentiment at the top there. So let's start with that. Let's put a thanks in there from that same set. Up here at the top. Whoops. And I'd quite like that to stand out a little more. So I'm going to stamp that in Blackberry Bliss. Very often the sentiments are quite fine, and if you stamp it in the same colour they can look a little bit insignificant. So what I like to do if I'm stamping a sentiment is stamp it in a darker colour to the main colours that I've used on the cards. I'm going to put this quite high. And obviously these make perfect tags. Just put a hole in the top. There we go. So there's my thanks on there. I'll do this one. Yeah, I'll just stick with that one. And I'm just deliberating whether I do one in Blackberry Bliss in my mind. I think I will. Okay. so. Now these have got coordinating backing pieces for the petals that you would normally do in a lighter colour. I think I'm just going to leave it as that. I might add it later on, I'll see. But for the sake of showing you what we're doing, this is the smaller one, and I'm going to do that in Petunia Pop. So it's slightly more rounded. Here and here. They don't have to be level. And let's add, the backing of that. In Pretty in Pink, but I might stamp it off. Let's have a look. Yeah. So I just want a hint of that colour, and there is an exact fit for those, but I'm literally just stamping as is. Let's just do this one again because it was a little bit too light. Like that. There we go, that's better. And I might do the backing of that one just to keep it the same. There's this one here, and again I'm going to do that in Pretty in Pink, but I'm going to stamp it off so that it doesn't stand out too much. I can always do it again if I do it too light. If I do it too dark, I can't take it away. So, and again, this has an exact match, but I'm not too fussed actually how that's going to go. I'm just turning it to get the sort of best combination, like so. I'm not sure that you can see what I can see. Let me just do that again. There we go. I'll lift it up to the camera. Hopefully you can see that little bit of background stamping. Okay, let's pop some middles in. So I've got that smaller middle which will fit both of those. There's that one there, and this one, and that one, like so. Hopefully you can see those okay. And then I'm just going to add some greenery, but it just feels a little bit big. For these small flowers, it works really well with the bigger flower, but I just feel that is too, that's too big. Okay, let's see what that's looking like, and then I might put something else on the bottom. Okay, so there's that, and that. I definitely need something on the bottom. I'm just looking to see if I've got a smaller. What if I put it on a smaller one? Okay, Let's put a bit of greenery on, see how we get on. Just going to try the stalk without the leaf. There we go. Let's find my... Move that off so I've got a nice flat surface. One, two, three. So, and I'm going to add maybe one leaf. I think if it's away from the flower I might get away with that. Oops. Test it on my piece here. That. I think which way it's got to go. So that's better. There we are. Okay, and I'm going to put a little piece of ribbon across the bottom. So these are our layers here. This is going to go across there. This is going to go there. And then I'm going to grab some ribbon for the bottom. This will work because this matches that lovely background colour. Or I've got, this isn't actually Petulia, this is an old colour, Magenta Madness, which is very similar, just a little bit brighter. But I think I'm going to use this one here, which is Wild Wheat, which is what this colour is. So let's just create a bow. Morning, Michelle. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're using the foiled frames and labels today. I do have there's some really lovely gold stripe ribbon available as well, but I think this with the Wild Wheat will look okay. And fill in that little gap at the bottom. Okay, so let's put this together. So this is just an offcut of that lovely paper. I'm going to pop that on. My base card is Petunia Pop, just stamped with those flowers from Impressions of Bloom. Like so. My panel that I've just stamped, I'm going to have just a little bit below and a little bit above there. And I'm going to pop that up on dimensionals. And then add my bow. certainly a bit cooler this morning. Bit of little of light rain overnight and this morning. The garden is in desperate need of it. And as I said, you could easily make these into tags by punching a hole. There we go. So that's going to sit on there. Like that. And then my little bow that I've got here, let's just make it a little bit smaller. Find my paper snips. Which have disappeared. Let me get my spare pair out. There we go. That's that one. Like so. That's going to go on the bottom, and that just covers up the sort of join of those flowers together. And I have my glue dot for that purpose. Oops, I've got a bit churned up in my bag. That's one. So you don't want to handle the glue dots. You want to just push your embellishment onto them and lift the whole thing off. So that's going to go onto there. Does that look straight to you? I'm not sure it looks straight to me. Just lift it up slightly. Okay. A little better. There we go. I could put a little embellishment in the center of those flowers if I wanted to. So there's one using that pretty shape there. This one I've added on here, cut the front off and put it there, and I'm going to add a little sentiment across here. And then I am just going to do a really quick bookmark with the other shape. If I can find it. It'll be the last one I come to, won't it? There it is. So you get 36 elements. Plus, as I said, you could definitely, if you were careful, trim some of these off. You could even just trim that and use it as a single line, as a stalk or something. So, 1, 2. Let's stamp something on here. I've got I appreciate you. Or just add some of those flowers. Let's just add some of those flowers on. And make it into a quick bookmark. This one, I think. Similar to what I've done here, actually. There we go. I used Petunia Pink as I'm there with that one already. Put this underneath. so. That. Let's add the middle. I might do the middle in Blackberry Bliss. Good morning, Linda. Thanks for joining us. So there's one there. 2, 3, 4. And as I've got some of this paper left, I'm going to pop it on there and then onto a card. Although it does get a little bit lost on there. I could do that. Okay, just going to measure this. So this is, well, 1.5 inches is nice and easy to remember. So I'm going to cut this at just under 2. Like so. And then cut, a Blackberry Bliss card at 2 inches. Like so. I'm going to trim this piece down. This is quite nice on that side though, isn't it? That on there, that on the top, and I'm just going to punch out the top piece and then add some of that ribbon. Okay, so this is our tag topper punch. Sadly, this retired many moons ago, but it's perfect for bookmarks. I'm going to layer this up together first, and this would make a nice gift to add in with one of those cards. She drops it. So this is a 2-inch piece of card that's going to sit on there. Let's pop this in the punch. Should just about fit in. Okay, like so. Oh, I should have, yes, never mind, that's lovely. I forgot it was going to cut the top of that off. Okay, that's going to go on with dimensionals, and we're done. It's going to support this, like I did with the other one. You don't want it sort of sagging in the middle. There we go. Pop our piece on there. Hopefully you can see that. And I'm going to use that same ribbon to go on the top. Now what I like to do if I'm doing this is just take some baker's twine and tie it around here so that you don't end up with a large amount of ribbon, especially if you're using thick ribbon. I can just see some baker's twine here. A stroke of luck, wasn't it? An offcut will do nicely. So what I like to do is just tie that in a knot initially, like that. There we go. And then you can tie this in a bow if you wish as well. So tidy it up a little bit and trim it. Like that. And then if you want to trim these ends down, you can do. Okay, so there's our little bookmark, and what you could do is take this piece here and if I've made this big enough, put it on the back like so, and then put a smaller piece on with your sentiment. Or you could add the other one of these pieces, for example this one here, so the same one that we used to stamp on the front, you could put that on the back with your message or sentiment. So lots of options with those. So let me show you what we've made. So we've got this bookmark here, always love a bookmark. We've got this one here that we've used this sort of archway, and I've just stamped in the background and add a little bit of paper. And then this one here, I've used the rounded one, stamped across the front, cut it down there, and then attach that piece back. And then I'm going to put a sentiment, I'll put a sentiment that goes right across there, so it's obvious then when you open it up. So there we go. That is the foiled frames and labels pack. £7.50. You get 36 pieces. That works out at a little bit under 21p per piece. And as I said, you end up with these frames here, so that you could easily cut this up, pop it on your trimmer or guillotine, and use that as an accent piece, for example, to go across the top or the bottom. So don't discount those odd pieces. You could use all those, but you get lots of different shapes: rectangles, circles, hexagons. Stamp just sentiments on if you wanted to. These ones are perfect for sentiments, and away you go. So thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope it's been useful. I need to clear that all up now. Seem to have made rather a mess this morning. Situation normal. So I will be back tomorrow evening, that is Thursday, at 7 p.m. UK time. and that will be continuing on with the set that we've been using this week, which is our stamp set of the week. And I've completely forgotten what it's called. Encircled with Love. I got it. This one here. Oh dear. I can tell if you've listened to me right to the end. So these are some of the cards that we've created so far. So great fun, works perfectly with our circle punch range. You can also use it with dies as well. So watch out for more with Encircled with Love tomorrow evening. Thank you, Debbie. I appreciate you joining us. You can watch the replay very shortly. And all the best to you. I see you're doing really well with all your classes and everything, so keep up the great work. Thank you so much, everyone. Do take care. Bye for now. Time for a cup of coffee for me, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye for now.